For my mom's birthday, I gave her a used Lexus. She rolled her eyes and said I couldn't even afford new. My aunt whispered, pathetic. I nodded, took the keys, and drove away without a word. The next morning, my phone was blowing up with dozens of missed calls begging me to undo it. My mom has always been like this. Nothing I did was ever enough. Nothing I gave was good enough. Nothing I said landed the way it was supposed to. My brother Franklin was the golden child. He worked at a bank and made good money, but he never spent a dime on anyone. Every birthday, every Mother's Day, every Christmas, Franklin would show up with a card and a hug, and my mom would act like he brought her the moon. I'd show up with an actual gift, and she'd find something wrong with it. I bought her a necklace once. She said, it's nice, but it's not really my style. I got her a spa day. She said, I don't like strangers touching me. I booked her a weekend trip to the coast. She said, you should have asked first. No matter what I did, it landed wrong. I make decent money working as a site supervisor for a construction company. I'm not rich, but I'm comfortable. This year, I wanted to do something big. My mom's car was 15 years old and falling apart. The transmission was slipping. The AC hadn't worked in 2 summers. She complained about it every time I saw her, so I spent 4 months looking for the right deal. I found a 2021 Lexus ES with 22,000 miles on it. Cream interior, not a scratch on it. Previous owner was an elderly woman who barely drove it. I paid $31,000 cash. Cleaned out most of my savings to do it. I had it detailed, put a ribbon on the hood, and drove it to my mom's birthday dinner at my aunt's house. There were about 15 people there. I walked in and told my mom I had something for her outside. Everyone followed us out to the driveway. She saw the car sitting there with the bow on it and the headlights catching the streetlight, and for about 2 seconds she looked genuinely impressed. Her hand went to her chest. My aunt said, oh my God. Then my mom walked around it slowly and said, wait, this isn't new. I said, it's a 2021 with 22,000 miles. It drives like new. She looked at my aunt and said, he got me a used car. My aunt shook her head and whispered, pathetic. My cousin looked at the ground. Nobody said anything. My mom turned back to me and said, you couldn't even afford a new one? Your brother makes half what you do, and he would have at least leased me something with no miles on it. I said, Franklin gave you a card. She said, at least a card is honest. This is you trying to show off and falling short. I stood there in the driveway holding the keys while 15 people watched. Not one of them said a word. Not my uncle, not my cousin, not my dad, nobody. I nodded. I said, okay. I walked to the car, pulled the ribbon off the hood, got in, and drove away. No yelling, no speech. I just left. I drove home and parked the Lexus in my garage next to my truck. I poured a glass of water and sat at my kitchen table and stared at the wall for about an hour. The next morning, I woke up to 43 missed calls. My mom, my dad, my aunt, my cousin, Franklin, everyone. My mom left 6 voicemails. The first one was angry. She said, you embarrassed me in front of my whole family by leaving like that. The second one was calmer. She said, I think we both overreacted. Let's talk. The third one, she said, your aunt told me that car is worth over $30,000. Is that true? The fourth one, she was crying. She said, I didn't mean what I said. I was just surprised. I thought you were joking. The fifth one, she said, please bring the car back. I'm sorry. The sixth one, she said, I told everyone you were bringing it back today. Don't make me look like a fool. I didn't call any of them back. My dad called me that afternoon. He said, your mother hasn't stopped crying. Just bring the car back and let's move past this. I said, she called it pathetic in front of the whole family. Nobody corrected her. Nobody said thank you. Nobody said that's a generous gift. Everybody just stood there. He said, she didn't mean it. I said, she meant every word. And so did Aunt Cheryl. And so did everyone who stood there and said nothing. He went quiet. Then he said, so what are you going to do with the car? I said, drive it. He said, you're going to keep it? I said, I paid for it. It's mine. Franklin called me that night. First time he'd called me in months. He said, bro, just give mom the car. She's been crying all day and dad's stressed out. You're making this way bigger than it needs to be. I said, you gave her a $5 card and she kissed you on the cheek. I gave her a $31,000 car and she called it pathetic. Why don't you go buy her one? He didn't say anything. I said, that's what I thought. I still have the Lexus. I drive it to work every day.